So speech pathology, there's so many different avenues of like speech pathology you can work in. And there's two different halves of it. You can be an adult speech pathologist or a child. So I'll just talk about the child aspect. We work with children with communication difficulties. So it's not necessarily just people with a speech impediment or people who cannot speak, but we work with children to communicate their needs with other people. So whether it's children who are stuttering as well, but a lot of our children that we see at our clinic have a diagnosis of either autism or ADHD or a learning difficulty or an intellectual disability, something like that. First of all, I feel empathy. That's my first feeling to the parent at that point. I'm a parent myself, so I know how hard that can be when it's your child that you're thinking about and you envision a certain future for your child. And if someone's going to come in and say that that vision that you have is possibly going to be disrupted in a way, that's a lot to deal with. My perspective is, so every human being has a balance of masculine and feminine energy. How you're operating at your best when your feminine and your masculine energy are balanced. And when one of them is out of balance, that's when you don't operate at your best.
Disclaimer. The information in this Victory Line podcast is for general informational purposes only. It is not intended as professional advice, including financial, legal, medical, or other expert advice. Always seek the guidance of a qualified professional for your specific situation. The views expressed are those of the individuals and do not necessarily reflect those of any associated organisation.
Welcome to the Victory Line podcast. Lion!
Today is about the power of you. You will change the world.
And now your host,
O.P. Jayasinghe. Trudy De Silva.
Hello.
Thank you very much for catching up with me.
That's okay. Thanks for having me. I feel kind of honoured.
No, it's awesome. It's been a while. I've known you for a long time now.
Nearly 20 years.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. How we met is because I've DJ'd at a bunch of your functions.
Yeah, I know.
And they've been awesome.
Yeah.
Because you don't remember every single DJ gig that I've done. But your ones I remember because your family just really get into it. And I remember the way that they treated me. They were so nice, hospitable.
That's good.
Your sister's lovely. So, it's always, those special memories you still remember after decades.
Definitely. And I think like being a DJ, part of your job is to inject the energy into a function, right?
Yeah.
So I guess my family just loves that. They love baila, they love food, drinking, dancing. So if a DJ is going to come in and make them have a good time, they're all about it.
they got onto it. It was really good. And it was easy for me from my, because, when people have got a good vibe and they're just, rocking it, it makes my job easy as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. So I've been really impressed with all the stuff you're doing. So I want to cover your mother life, your entrepreneurial journeys. I know you've got several businesses. Maybe touch on your developments as well if you're comfortable with that.
Sure.
As well as obviously, your bread and butter at the moment in terms of running the clinic, what's involved, how you deal with employees, what are the struggles that you go
Wow.
with. We'll try and touch on a little bit.
We need hours.
I know we would need hours, but I always try and sort of go back and try and get your upbringing, if that's okay. So
definitely.
Over to you. Where do you want to start?
Well, I guess upbringing is such an important part of, I think, what makes you who you are at this point in your life, right?
Absolutely.
You're made up all of your past experiences and your thoughts, and that governs your ideas and all of that. So I guess my upbringing was, in a very close-knit family. We migrated from Sri Lanka when I was 2.5. We came over here, and I would say we went through a really tough time. Okay. I think a lot of my upbringing was through a lot of adversity.
Yeah. What made it tough?
Well, a few different things. Number one, I think the financial difficulties were really felt in my family, and the stresses of trying to make money in this first world country. And we came from Sri Lanka, and we never came from a family with a lot of money. So that was really felt. And me being the eldest, I think we just take on a lot of the responsibility. And exactly. You know what that's like. And then my sister was born when we were here. So we have a 6-year gap
Okay.
And so financially we felt that adversity, and also like some other difficulties were just assimilation. My parents, you know, while there are so many similarities between myself and my parents, there are so many vast differences.
Okay.
And I think for them moving here, it was very scary for them, and they tended to kind of just stick with their brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
Because they migrated here at the same time, which was such a strength for all of us. I grew up with my cousins all around me all the time. I have 14 cousins on my mum's side.
So when you meant brothers and sisters, you meant like actual, literally brothers and sisters?
Yeah.
Like, hey, you know, we went to the same college.
Yeah, no. My cousins were like, they were like my siblings.
Amazing. Okay.
We saw each other. Some of my cousins I saw every day, every morning, every night.
Yep.
And other cousins I saw on the weekends.
So it's very frequent.
Very, very, very.
Very frequent.
We all kind of grew up living a street or two away, and even now my mum lives a street or two away from a lot of her siblings.
Amazing. Are you still keeping in touch?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, very
So
much.
That's amazing. That is so good.
Yeah, we have a cousins group chat.
Okay. Of course you do. Yes.
Yeah. And I would have the cousins who I'm more close with, and those cousins I would make an extra effort to see more frequently. And then some of my cousins, I would say we've kind of drifted a little as we've learnt what our personalities are.
Yeah.
But we catch up at Christmas like we saw each other yesterday.
Yeah.
That's nice. But yeah, the assimilation was a little bit difficult. I think we tended to just stay within our kind of confines of what we knew and understood, and we didn't venture out from there easily or quickly.
Have you noticed that, you know, as a parent, are you doing anything differently now to sort of change that with your own kids?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
I just like exposing my kids to lots of different ideas and people and friendships and experiences. I'm like, we're going to go there. Yeah, we're going to go see what that is.
Yeah.
I want to encourage my kids to explore.
Amazing.
I think exploring is a really important part
of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can relate to some of the stuff that you're saying because, you know, my parents were, you know, very similar.
Yeah.
If we go out to eat, it's always this Chinese restaurant, right? I never knew other cuisines existed, like, until I was an adult. I didn't know, like, Italian food or even Indian food. Like,
I know.
Yeah, it's
interesting. And, like, I went and got a job as a waitress. That was my first job when I was 18, and I had just finished year 12. And I always wanted to have a job. And my parents were like, okay, you finished school. Yeah, now you're allowed to work. So I was like, yes. I was so excited. Yeah. So I went to Crown and I went walking along South Bank, and I just went into all these restaurants and I started conversations with people, and I just asked these people to give me a job.
Yeah. And obviously worked, right?
Yeah, it worked.
Yeah.
I was terrible. I was an awful waitress because I had never been to a restaurant.
Oh my God.
Like,
the
only restaurants I had been to with my parents were Hoppers. Right, that's all I knew. And so I was great at making conversation with people because I was very chatty and extroverted. I could take down their order and I could remember everything that they said and I could put it into the system. But when it came out, I didn't know what I was holding. Yeah, so that was interesting.
My goodness. Okay. In terms of the next chapter, what was a significant thing that happened? Like, obviously, you know, that was your first job.
Yeah.
Did it evolve from there? Like, I mean, before we get to where we are today, what were the in-between jobs that you'd like to touch on?
Yeah, I worked at a call center for a really long time.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah, for Optus.
Oh, yeah. Yes, as we all do.
Yeah. Selling stuff over the phone.
Yep. You're studying as well?
Yeah, I was studying speech pathology at La Trobe.
Okay.
And working at Optus after uni. So I worked at Optus from like 5 p.m. till 10 p.m.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, and I loved it.
Yep.
And it was right up my alley. I learned a lot about sales, and I think if you're an entrepreneur and if you own a business, sales is your bread and butter, right?
Yeah.
That's how you get your business to generate income. You've got to bring in sales.
Absolutely.
And I practiced a lot of those skills in that sales job.
There you go.
Yeah, I loved it. I loved selling home phone packages, mobile packages. I would chat to these customers for ages, and then I'd be like, oh, we're good friends now. Do you want to sign up to this? And they're like, yeah, I want to sign up to that.
I can't remember that. Home phone packages. Oh, they don't exist now, right?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's cool. And 100% agree in terms of the sales. Like, sales is so underrated. We're always selling ourselves, right?
Yeah.
Whether it be, asking someone out on a date or anything, right? Anything and everything. It's just the sales. And you're right. We should be practicing that more.
Yeah. I still practice it, because just when you think you're good at it, then, as you know, in business goes up and down, and then you're like, oh, I need to do something different about sales now.
Yeah.
So I feel like we're always working on that.
Yep. Totally.
Yeah.
After that?
After that, then I graduated from speech pathology, and that's kind of like what I did.
Okay.
And so I worked in schools and I worked in other clinics. And then along that journey, I was like, I really would want to have my own clinic. And these are the values I would base it on. This is what kind of a leader I would be. These are the kind of employees I would want to have. This is how I would treat our clients. And so that's how that started.
Amazing. So you had that vision as you were in uni, or did you sort of...
As I was in uni.
Okay.
And I think they say it's genetic, right? Because a lot of my cousins are entrepreneurs and they own their own businesses. And my grandfather had his own business.
There you go.
And we're all a bunch of big personalities. And so I've always wanted to do that. It's not something that just so happened to come about.
Okay.
It's something I've always wanted.
In terms of speech pathology, did you know when you were in high school, that you wanted to go down this path, or was it just... No.
No. When I was in high school, I knew I wanted to work in healthcare, and I knew I wanted to work with children. So
you sort of had those values down pat.
Those two things, yeah, absolutely. I'm a very service-driven person who likes to work with children and make impact on their lives. That kind of stuff I love. And health, I love health and well-being.
Yeah.
And
so after year 12, I'm assuming you had several degrees that you could have sort of gone down.
Yeah. I was looking at medicine to be a pediatrician.
Okay.
I wanted to either be a physio or in podiatry or speech pathology or occupational therapy. Right. So some of that allied health or medicine is what I was looking at.
Okay. And I'm going to ask some very basic and probably some silly questions, but that's okay. Because if I don't know it, there's a good chance that people who are watching this.
Yeah.
So in terms of a speech pathologist, what do they do?
That's such a good question, because not a lot of people know it.
Okay.
Yeah. So speech pathology, there's so many different avenues of speech pathology you can work in. And there's two different halves of it. You can be an adult speech pathologist or a child. So I'll just talk about the child aspect.
Yep.
But we work with children with communication difficulties. So it's not necessarily just people with a speech impediment or people who cannot speak, but we work with children to communicate their needs with other people. So whether it's children who are stuttering as well, but a lot of our children that we see at our clinic have a diagnosis of either autism or ADHD or a learning difficulty or an intellectual disability, something like that.
Okay.
And so we work a lot with socialization, conversational skills. We work with children who have difficulties comprehending things in the classroom, giving them management strategies so they can access the curriculum and learn better. Socialization type things around play skills and getting along with friends.
Yeah.
A whole range of things. It's really quite broad.
So is that why they say it's on the spectrum kind of thing? Is this why?
Yeah.
Because there's, okay.
So with autism spectrum, with children with autism, they've got such varying presentations. So you've got one end of the spectrum where I think people are aware of that stereotypical type, and they kind of look at autism like it's just a child who's nonverbal, who's having tantrums, or who's, stimming and rocking in the corner. That's kind of
What's stimming?
Stimming kind of like engaging in repetitive bodily behaviors.
Yep.
Yeah, physical movements. And that's like the stereotype that people think autism is just that. But then there's a whole spectrum of skills. So they might be children who are on the autism spectrum, but they're, you know, really have great friendships and they're very well spoken and they're like highly intelligent and they're out there enjoying hobbies and things in the world. But like their differences are somewhere along that spectrum. They don't all look the same.
Yeah, because this word spectrum, like it's relatively, I feel like I hadn't heard that growing up. Or
We didn't,
right?
We didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, you know, in recent years where I've, you know, worked at different places and a colleague would mention, hey, my child's on the spectrum.
Yeah.
And I had to like look that up. I'm going, okay, that's sort of what it means.
Yeah, exactly.
In terms of other people or children who you treat, sort of go on to that as well?
Yeah. So we also see children with like reading and writing kind of difficulties and whether they go on to have a diagnosis of dyslexia or not, but we deal with like literacy-based things. So, and then apart from just helping them one-on-one in the clinic, then a lot of our therapists will go out to their schools and work with them in the classroom environment.
Okay.
And they communicate with the teachers and with the parents to give them strategies and tips on how to like help this child progress in their skills in their everyday environment. So we try and move their therapy from here out into the real world.
So for a parent sort of listening to this, what do they do? Like if they sort of suspect, is that enough of a trigger for them to go to the GP and get a referral?
Yeah, usually that happens all the time, which is amazing. We love the fact that parents are really on board and onto looking at their kids and thinking, you know, is there more that I could be doing? It's such a great place to come from for parents.
Yeah.
And they may then go to the doctors, get a referral, and then their doctor might say, you know, maybe you should go see a speechie and get an initial assessment done and see. And then if it's not their realm, they'll, you know, refer you to what it is that you need.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you can, like, I'm assuming you do an initial assessment, like you said.
Yeah.
And it's a yes or no, or is there in between as well?
Yeah, there's in between as well.
Yeah. Okay.
So, like, I'll often do a lot of the autism assessments and I'll work on a panel alongside a pediatrician and a psychologist. So it's three of us who'll be on an assessment panel for autism spectrum.
Right.
And the three of us will have to come to some sort of consensus around that.
Yep.
And sometimes it's a yes, and then I'll explain to the parent in terms of speech pathology what the goals should be. So in terms of communication, social skills, language, and behaviours.
In terms of milestones.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And work with the family on what goals they want to work on for their child.
Yeah.
Or sometimes like they're better off working with other therapists for other reasons. So I'll refer out to them.
How do you deal with is there a stigma with your child
I think
being
there
labeled
still is.
this?
Yeah.
How do you deal with that? I mean, I know it's not your responsibility because you're only in that domain, but what do you do with parents who are sort of even hesitant to even do this assessment because they're like, I don't want to melt?
Yeah, I see it all the time.
Yeah.
And first of all, I feel empathy. Mm-hmm. That's my first feeling to the parent. At that point, I'm a parent myself, so I know how hard that can be when it's your child that you're thinking about, right? And you envision a certain future for your child.
Yeah.
And if someone's going to come in and say that vision that you have is possibly going to be disrupted in a way, that's a lot to deal with.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So it's a lot of grief.
Yep.
When you see the hesitation, what I understand is there's a lot of grief and anxiety from the parent there.
Okay.
And so the way I kind of assist is to meet them where they're at. It's not my job to pull them from a place of denial or not being ready and forcing them to see something. I don't think that works.
Okay.
I don't think it's positive or constructive.
No, true.
It's more so to meet them where they're at. And if they're not ready for that kind of an assessment, I just join them there and I say, you know, there are other options. Do you want to start with therapy first and we try these strategies? Because you're here for something practical.
Yeah.
So that assessment thing we can do at any time, whenever you're ready. Like, I'm more like, tell me what you want from me and I'm here to meet you to help you achieve that for your child.
That's wonderful because, just by what you said, I feel like you're coaching and, you know, dealing with the parent as much as the child, right?
The parent is our main
I didn't realize
communication partner in the therapy.
Yeah.
Yeah. The child is
child is there. But you're right. I didn't realize you have to take the parent through the journey as well.
It is, yeah. Our whole mission of our clinic is that we are here to empower parents. That's what we do here. That's our job. We're the therapists, but it's not our job to fix a problem, fix your child, or, my job is to empower the parent to help and work with the parent to develop this child's skills.
Okay.
Yeah. And putting the power in the parent's hands.
Yep. Thank you for explaining that.
Yeah.
What's sort of the treatment plans? Is there a treatment plan? I mean, I know it's not a one.
They're all different. Okay. They're all different. Yeah.
So, I mean, we probably came to this really earlier than I thought we would be, but let's go with it.
Yeah, sure.
So what are the steps now? Okay, so I've got a child that I suspect, might have learning disabilities or difficulties, I should say. They're possibly behind compared to their peers. What would be my steps that you would recommend as a parent?
Yeah, I would say first to either see a pediatrician or an educational psychologist first.
So would you have to go through a GP before you see this?
Yeah, the GP would give you a referral to see a pediatrician.
Okay.
That takes a really long time because the waiting list for a pediatrician these days is 9 or 10 months.
Wow.
So generally you've got that appointment kind of happening in the background and you're waiting for that. But in the meantime, that's where you would try and see a speech pathologist and a psychologist as well. Because it's these three people that inevitably are working on the team for your child if you're considering a learning difficulty.
Sorry, who were the other two?
Speech pathologist, psychologist, pediatrician.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Do they need a referral? A note?
Yeah.
They do need a referral? They can't just call and go, hey, Trudy.
No, they can. They can come in without a referral. Most of them choose to do that because they can get a bit of a rebate through Medicare.
Okay. If they choose to see you directly, there's no rebate?
There's no rebate, but you can still get in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Private health cover?
Yeah, I would love to see more of a rebate for families. Mm-hmm. It hasn't changed a lot in the past 15 years that I've been running this business.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit, I don't think it's very fair to parents what the small rebate that they get, but it is there.
It is there.
Yeah.
It's something. Okay.
Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you for explaining all of that. I'm just trying to think, so we can sort of finish this topic in terms of discussing. Is there anything that you'd like to say from a parent perspective? Have we covered all the things? I mean, I don't want to go through the... So for anyone who's watching this, if you want to find out more, check out Trudy's YouTube channel, maybe the private one, or is there another one for the clinic?
So the clinic has our own social media and that's on Instagram and we've got our website.
Yep.
So the clinic is De Silva Kids Clinic. It doesn't have its own YouTube.
Okay. All right, cool.
Yeah.
But I've actually learned so much as well, just about kids in general, the routines that you do, the visual charts, all of that stuff is really good, right?
Thanks.
It's
so helpful.
It is so helpful. You would think it's common sense, but it's not really common sense. Parents don't implement it. Even at my house, I didn't do the visual. I wrote it down. And there's a difference.
There's such a big difference, yeah.
Brush your teeth.
No. Or I'll just pretend you didn't say that.
Exactly. Floss. What? Yeah. So, okay, cool. And you've got a couple of clinics as well, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is one of them. We're in South Morang in Melbourne. And then down the road is Mill Park. That's how Mill Park.
How do you do it? Touching on your entrepreneurial flair. How are you managing both of them?
I don't know. That's my honest answer.
It's full on, right?
It's really full on. I do have an amazing team of staff, I have to say. But it's, I would say, we work together as a team to manage both clinics and make sure all the clients are really happy and staff are kept really happy. That's my ultimate goal, just, to keep a happy team. Really. And then clients are always happy when they're coming to a place where the team's really happy.
Yeah, of course. You can tell, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't met your team, but I can tell by the photos. Wow, these people are really happy.
Good. We're generally positive people.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you think about it, I mean, professionals who want to work with young children and make their lives better and be, helpful to families and parents, we're generally positive, happy people.
Yeah, you need that empathy inherent in them, right? You can't just go, hey, fake it.
You can't. No.
Can't.
Yeah.
Okay. So are you doing payroll and all of...
No.
No.
I would have no idea how to do that. Okay. I hire good people who know how to do that.
So in terms of a secret, is it just about delegating or finding the right people?
I think it's about finding the right people.
Okay.
Yes.
So what do you focus on? Like, what's something that, like, if we take Trudy out of this picture, the entire thing would fail. Like, what's your...
How much of it do I do?
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's a good
Besides
question.
the consultations, I know, like, Sleep pays a...
Yeah, I do a few of the consultations, but not the majority of them. Okay. I would say the team of therapists do all of that, and they're amazing. Like, the therapists are just so good at what they do, really passionate people and just really lovely people.
Yep.
What do? My role as the CEO is to set the mission and the values and the vision of the business, and make sure that we've got a good strategy that leads us to reaching our goals, and I guess make a good plan and delegate really well.
Yeah.
Lead a team of leaders, I guess, and make my team feel empowered and strong to do what they do best.
Yeah.
I think business is a lot about relationships. I think when you go into business, like, just being an authentic, real person, people really value that. No one wants to work for someone who they don't trust. And so I think building trust has to be first.
Yeah.
And I just do that by just being myself, so people can see who I really am. Mm-hmm. I don't feel like I have to put on a certain front or a facade to go to work. I'm just myself.
Just yourself, yeah.
Yeah,
Makes
so
sense.
I think that's the basis of everything, because then people can respect you and you can lead a team when you're an authentic person.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you have to sort of stipulate how the consultations are run when you're not there, or do you leave it up to the individual to run it their own way?
That's a good question.
Is there a De Silva standard?
Yeah, there is. Okay. There is a standard, and what we bring into that is, number one, how you treat parents and how you treat children, and the values that you inject into your sessions. Yep. That's a standard. Mm-hmm. And then how you as a therapist want to do an assessment is up to how you operate as a therapist.
As an individual,
Yeah. As long as the therapists are living out our values and our standards, and they stand by who we are as a business, I trust in their ability as a therapist.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's a great answer.
Yeah.
I love that. And I think that's the way, because if you try and micromanage people, it just doesn't work.
It's not fun.
It's not
fun.
It's not fun for them or you.
No. Yeah.
Okay.
And you would need a lot of time to micromanage so many people.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Are you here or there most of the time?
I'm at Mill Park most of the time because my desk is there.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, my desk is not here, but I do visit here often.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of, it is so nice.
Nice, really nice.
I love the living room feel that we have here.
Yep.
The other one doesn't have so much of a living room feel, but the other one has its own different feel.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to check that out one day.
You will have to. The other one I built, it's a building that I purchased back in 2015, 16.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah. And so went through a huge construction of that.
Yeah.
And so you'll have to come and see that.
Yeah.
But
so that's a good segue.
Yeah.
Tell me some about your developments that you've done. Have you learned a lot? Do you recommend it for anyone that's wanting to get into real estate?
Yeah. I love that side of my work.
Okay.
I absolutely love it. I've always been interested in properties, property development, interior design, commercial design. That stuff really gets me very excited. Yeah. So,
at the moment, there's one in development at the moment, right?
No, that one's finished,
but
done? I'm just working on starting my second one.
Good on you.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah.
You're studying an MBA.
Yeah, I am.
Almost done.
Yeah.
Why?
Why am I doing it?
Yeah, why?
That's a good question. Okay, so I'm doing my MBA because I love business, so I thought maybe I should study that as my master's. And to be honest, After I separated from my ex-husband 5 years ago, I was like, okay, all of a sudden I have more time because we have the kids 50-50.
Oh, that's why you got more time.
That's why I've got more time now.
Yeah.
And I was like, what am I going to do with this extra time?
Yeah.
And in those initial phases of, separating, I think I was like going out and, having fun and all that kind of thing, wasting my time.
Jumping on an Uber and
jumping in an Uber and just going out somewhere. Okay. And I was like, that's fun for a little while. And then I was like, this is a waste of time. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of money. And I want to do something a little bit more meaningful with my spare time.
Yeah.
So after a few quick short months of that, I applied for a scholarship to get into this. And it was through La Trobe, and they offered me a scholarship.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, they did.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and I was like, well, I'm not going to turn this down.
Yeah.
I don't know what made me apply for it.
In the first place?
I just did it.
Yep.
And they offered it to me, and I thought, I can't turn that down. I'm going to do that.
Okay.
So
was this always on your bucket list?
It was. It was always on my bucket list.
Yeah.
I didn't know that it was going to be an MBA. Okay. But I did want to do some further study after my bachelor's.
Bachelor's, okay.
Yeah.
When do you study? Like what? I know because being a busy mom.
Yeah, it's really.
Like what portions of the day is most
productive? My most productive study portions of the day are my weekends where I don't have my kids.
Okay.
And in the early mornings during the week, Monday to Friday, between 5:30 and 7 a.m. Wow. That's when I study. It's the mornings when my kids are asleep and the weekends when I don't have my kids that study.
It's quiet period of quiet period of time. How are you managing having the kids 50-50?
It's not the best thing to not have your kids all the time. Mm-hmm. So I decided to turn it into something productive and positive.
Yeah.
And so now I'm fine with it.
You're okay.
Yeah, I use that time productively to get somewhere.
Yep.
So now all I feel is like my time is always positive now. And I like that shift.
That framing.
When I've got my kids, it's positive because I've got my kids.
Yep.
And when I don't have my kids, it's positive because I'm working on this other thing for myself.
Okay.
So that's why I feel like it's working for me.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
And I think your kids are really lucky to have you because obviously the work that you do, you've got the skills. Like I'm just thinking how lucky they are, right? Even though they're only with you 50% of the time, it must run like a really smooth.
Yeah.
Probably not all the time, but
I know what you mean. Yeah. I think sometimes I take for granted the clinical knowledge that I have and that I bring that into my parenting. But it is helpful for sure. Sometimes, like just a couple of nights ago, I stopped myself and I'm like, wow, I'm being a bit of a therapist at the moment, but this is great. It's working for my child right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you deal with, if you don't mind me asking, your parents or, the grandparents basically chipping in and giving their advice?
Yeah. I deal with it because I don't know about your parents, but my parents have turned into the biggest softies.
Yes.
Since I've had kids. I don't recognize my parents because they were so hard on myself and my sister. And they're incredibly soft with my kids. And I'm like, I don't even know who you are. Who are you? So sometimes I have to reel my parents in a little bit. And that's really all I have to do. Apart from that, I love the way my parents are with my kids. It's just amazing.
That's great.
It's awesome. It's awesome. They have a beautiful relationship. My parents want to see my kids all the time. My parents come in and out of my house whenever they want.
Yeah.
And it's really lovely.
Okay. Amazing. I love it.
Yeah.
I remember watching one of your videos.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're going to be able to explain it, but I hope you can, about the masculine versus the feminine energy.
Yeah.
That was, and I believe in that stuff as well.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate it from your understanding and your perspective?
That's my favorite topic.
Okay.
My perspective is So every human being has a balance of masculine and feminine energy, right? And how you're operating at your best when your feminine and your masculine energy are balanced.
Okay.
And when one of them is out of balance, that's when you don't operate at your best.
Well, would you say women in general have more feminine energy?
I don't know. I don't know that, because I would say, no, I don't think that. I think they've got to be balanced.
But naturally, are they like 80-20, 75?
I don't know. I don't know the scientific facts about that. But
you're saying in an ideal world,
you're balanced. Yeah, you're at a good balance where it's in harmony. And you feel when you're balanced or not. If you are overthinking, you're anxious, you're stressed all the time, you're overworked, or if you feel like you don't have enough time for hobbies and creative things, or if you feel like you're too insecure and you're needy, you're out of balance.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so you feel balanced when you have your creative side projects and your regular work. You spend time with your friends and your families, but you have enough alone time. You feel the balance in yourself.
You do, yeah.
But I think for me, like being in a leadership role, that's where being a female leader, I think it's really hard to find this balance. That's where the energies can sometimes be disrupted, because naturally, when you're a female leader, you're acting with a lot of masculine energy during the day.
Okay.
Because you're a decision maker, you're a leader, you're strategic, you're delegating tasks. Yeah, you're calling the shots.
Yep.
You're doing all of this. You're working hard. You've got good work ethic. You're getting up early. You're grinding. All this sort of stuff. It's very masculine. And so when that's all you're doing, it's very out of balance. And so I feel like I have to inject a lot of my feminine energy into my work. And so I love bringing in the emotional quotient of that.
Okay.
Yeah, and bringing in that nurturing side of me into my work.
Yeah.
And as a speech therapist working with young children, that's helpful.
That's helpful, of course.
And also with my staff, like I like to be a feminine leader and care for my team in quite a feminine, maternal way. There's a lot of that happening at work.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would imagine, right? Because, some employees need that guidance, coaching and loving and empathy to get them through their own challenge.
Yeah. Right? And building relationships with people, that's all very feminine.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I find, being a female leader, because you're working in your masculine energy so much, it's really important to think about your feminine energy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is that the sort of the advice that you would give other female entrepreneurs in terms of finding this balance?
Yeah, because naturally, because we're entrepreneurial, that's a lot of masculine energy. Yeah, so it's important to be really mindful about it and think about the ways that you're, like living through your feminine energy.
Yeah, I get it. I totally get it. And I really want to see, obviously, more female entrepreneurs going out there and crushing it. Like I'm always telling my daughter, algebra is great, but, we're going to need to talk to people. Let's, go out and do a speech over there at the assembly. Yeah. So it's always just giving that encouragement and push just to do a little bit more.
Yeah.
In terms of getting, we're all like introverts in a certain aspect.
Absolutely.
So just getting them out.
Yeah. And building their confidence.
Yeah. 100%.
It's like so important for young girls, as you'd know.
Yeah.
You have a daughter, right? And like I feel like our biggest responsibility is to give them confidence and help our daughters be brave. Yeah.
Thank you so much for covering a great topics. I'm going to sort of loop back now. Into the whole, we've already touched this, but the autism spectrum and what are the triggers that parents should be looking at, right? And I remember one of the videos you mentioned, lining things up, that was one of them.
Okay.
But, having their teddy bear maybe, is that like, what are some of the other things that parents are going, oh man, that's worrying. Maybe I should do something about this.
All right. So generally, they're probably looking for repetitive behaviors. That's probably one of the main standout things.
Okay.
And repetitive behaviors could be like a whole range of things. But some of the classic ones are lining things up.
Yep.
But it could be just really the child relying on a particular routine to be done the same way, the same time, and not just relying on the routine, right? Because my kids love routines and they need their routine.
Yep.
But a child on the spectrum is not going to be able to deal with a change of routine.
Okay.
So
I struggle.
Yeah, they struggle with the change of routine. So if you're having to pre-warn your child that the routine's going to change, or if you don't pre-warn them and then you just change their routine, then they, have quite a significant reaction to that.
Okay.
Whether it be an anxiety, like they become withdrawn because they're like, whoa, I wasn't prepared for that. Or if they have a meltdown, or if they start explaining a lot that they're not happy with this change of routine. It could be whatever that's particular to that child, but they have a reaction, basically.
Sorry, I'm giggling.
Yeah.
Sounds like my father-in-law. It's just, dealing with change, basically. It's just, it's hard.
Yeah. That adaptability and flexibility is a little bit more difficult for them.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that doesn't necessarily mean they're on the spectrum,
No.
but it's worthwhile sort of pursuing further.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
In terms of treatments, I'm hesitant to use that word.
Yeah. Because it makes it sound so
Finite.
medical.
Yes.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And it's not. But the kind of strategies that we teach these children, I guess, and these parents, is to do things like I think it's really important that as therapists, we're not trying to change the child, right? So we come from a very neuro-affirming approach. So we're really positive about who these children are, the way that they are, and we love these traits about them. So
what does that mean when you say
neuro-affirming?
Yeah.
It's like this. I would say, okay, your child struggles sometimes with dealing with change. So knowing that this is a trait that they have, what can we do to support them best in a changing environment? Let's give them visual schedules. So we accept them for who they are.
Yep.
We don't try and change this about the child. We kind of help them, help the environment kind of adapt to them a little bit.
Right. Instead of saying, hey, this person had a temper tantrum.
Yeah.
We would use something else.
Yeah, we're not going to tell them off. We're not going to try and get them to change their tantrum.
Yeah.
We're not really about that. We're like, let me give you some tools to put in your toolbox so that when change does happen, hopefully you can support your child so that they can deal with it best.
Okay.
So, for example, pre-warn them. Give them some visual cues so they can see what their schedule is going to be, and give them enough visual cues to show them that it's going to change. Support them with some kind of positive reward if they're able to be okay with this kind of a change.
Yep.
It's that kind of thing. Accept the fact, neuroaffirming is accept the fact that your child has this difficulty.
Got it.
We're not going to try and remove that trait from your child. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just work with it.
Work with it.
Work with it.
Yeah.
I love the visual cues thing. That's one thing I've learned from you that I think all parents really should implement.
Yeah.
And, even if they don't have sort of, children who are on the spectrum.
Yeah.
Any child
loves them.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you for teaching that.
Yeah.
In terms of, I guess, quick, helpful things that you can sort of give a parent who you think, hey, might be struggling with speech. What could you sort of give them as tips or clues?
Yeah. So speech as in their speech sounds?
Yeah, like they're having trouble sort of even, communicating at all.
Sounds. Yeah, okay. Yeah. I think it's really good to have an idea of the norms of what sounds are achieved at what age.
Ah, that's important,
right?
Isn't it?
Yeah, because for a lot of kids at the age of 3, they're not supposed to be able to say the S sound, for example. Huh. And so I think it's important for parents to know that that's okay if your child can't do that at that age. It's not expected. But, maybe if by the age of 6 or 7 that they can't, then perhaps you want to see a speech therapist and learn how to train the child's tongue to move in a different way to be able to produce a sound. Yeah.
How do you know if they're just delayed? Like some people just take a little bit longer, right?
That's usually what it is. Yeah, if it's just that's the most basic kind of referral we would ever get, where they've just got a delay in their speech production and everything else in their development is on track. So maybe just their speech sounds are a little bit delayed, and maybe they just need some intervention to help their tongue kind of move a little bit differently.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's all it is, right?
Yeah.
And it's
yeah.
just...
And it's usually like the easiest type of therapy, because we're not dealing with other challenging behaviors and other learning issues or cognitive issues.
Okay.
Yeah.
True. Amazing.
Yeah.
Tell me about your YouTube channel. How did that start?
Yeah, I started the YouTube channel maybe about 5 months ago.
Yep.
It's more a personal thing.
Yep.
So it's got nothing to do with the clinic. It started off, so I wanted to always have a YouTube channel because I have grown up watching YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And I really love the self-development
aspect of it.
Yeah.
Because you read a lot of books. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the self-development books.
Yep.
And I love the self-development and lifestyle channels that are about health and wellness and self-development.
Yes.
And so I thought, I want to have my own channel because I love talking about that topic.
Because you're interested, yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
So that's really why I started it. And initially I started making videos about speech pathology because I thought, like a lot of people who start a YouTube channel, just talk about what you're trained to know.
Mm-hmm.
Even though inside I was like, I don't actually want my channel to be about speech pathology. I want it to be about being an entrepreneur and self-development. Yeah. That's my passion topic. And then after making a few speech pathology videos, I was like, nah, I don't need to do this. Yeah. I'm going to love having the channel more if I can talk about what I'm really passionate about. So that's why the content changed.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I like talking about...
but it's on like productivity, how to do things better, not to worry about stuff.
Yeah, the stuff I love.
Stuff you love, right? Read more books, get up early, have a routine, all of that good stuff, right?
I love that. Yeah. It kind of builds your everyday life, builds your routines, builds your personality, builds your resilience. And I just, the more I've focused on that in my life, the happier that I've been.
Okay.
And so, I love having a YouTube channel that's about investing in yourself.
Yeah. I mean, I really enjoy your videos as well. So I'll leave all the links in the show notes.
Yeah. Thanks.
But that's okay. Do you have any favorite books?
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Something that changed my trajectory of thinking of work and business was the E-Myth.
Revisit.
Yeah. Gerber. Yeah. Yep. I love that book because I think, the main takeaway is to work on your business and not in it.
Mm-hmm.
And
put systems in place.
Yeah. And so that has been one of my favorites, even though I haven't read it in a really long time.
Yep.
The fact that it was more pivotal. Yeah. And it's on my bookshelf at home and I love that.
Yeah, that is a good book actually.
Yeah.
So for any entrepreneur, anyone running a business basically.
Should read that.
Read that.
And then read it again.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anything else?
What else? At the moment,
I know you're probably...
I love deep work.
Oh, deep work is good.
Deep work is really good.
Yes.
I read that on a plane on my way to Bali last year. Yeah. And it was just the best experience reading that book on that plane.
Yeah.
And I got to Bali and I was doing a solo trip. And in Bali while I was there, I was just relaxing really, but I took my suitcase, my luggage was overweight because I had packed so many books in there.
Yeah.
And it was like a think week for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I just went to different bars and restaurants, beach clubs, and I would carry my same handbag every day and I had a different book in it every day. And I carried my journal and pens and I just enjoyed just reading all these different books on different topics like business, self-development. I read $1 Million Weekend. I loved that book on that trip.
That was good.
Yeah.
What? I can't remember.
Kagan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Noah Kagan.
Noah Kagan. Yeah, I've read that one.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it was just really inspiring. And so Deep Work was the one I read on the plane. And then that set off the tone to a week of this holiday that I found so inspiring, where I was just learning a lot through reading.
Yeah. Deep Work, you're right, is a great one. And And I need to apply this, but I don't.
Yeah.
There's another book that goes really well with it called The One Thing.
Yeah. Yes.
By Ray, I can't remember.
I haven't read it, but I know it.
Yeah, it's a great book. But you're right, deep work is amazing.
It's
and
amazing.
The whole philosophy is just have a chunk of your day that you dedicate to, and that this is what you talk about.
And that's why I do it in the morning.
Correct.
Yeah. I would love for it to be 4 hours, like he talks about in the book, but I don't have the freedom of 4 hours.
Yeah, just pivot it as it works for you.
Yeah.
You're right. It is a phenomenal book.
Yeah. And that's why, like, your question was, where do you study? Like, how do you get this done? It's because of using that strategy of deep work that I can even think about finishing my master's in the next 8 weeks.
Amazing.
Because I've been able to execute that so well. And it's so built around having routines around your deep work. Like, I've got a routine that I know that I do before deep work starts. I've got a deep work routine for when it ends. I know it's all about those routines, rituals, and like making it such a system of your everyday life. I love that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. That's amazing that you've done this. How long was it, MBA?
I'm doing it part-time.
Part-time, yeah.
Yeah, amongst all the craziness of my life.
Of course, yeah.
So I've been doing it for about 3 years now.
Yeah, amazing. It's almost there, right? Almost there.
Almost there. I can see the finish line.
Goodness.
But it feels quite tiring at this point.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I can imagine, but you'll be so relieved. You have more time back.
I'm starting to think like, what am I going to do with all my time?
I'm sure there'll be something, right? So something will come up and then you'll run with that, which is awesome. That's what you want.
Yeah.
I know you are into your health and fitness.
Yeah.
Can you touch on those topics at all?
Sure.
What do you like to eat?
Okay.
Yep.
I love this topic. I love this topic. Yep. Health and fitness is like everything to me because, if we're not taking care of our body, like this is the vessel that carries me through my entire day.
Yep.
And this vessel allows me to be, wear the many different hats that I wear and play all those roles well. So you have to take care of yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yep. So I'm not on any crazy diet. I never have been. I never will be. I just like eating whole foods and I just focus on like a good source of protein is like a focus on protein, vegetables, fruits, salads, and good carbohydrates.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Same thing for the kids as well?
Same thing for them.
Okay.
I don't cook different stuff for them. We all eat the same thing.
Yep.
I'm too busy to be cooking a whole menu of these.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. And I love going to the gym. I'm really passionate about that.
Yep.
It's very routine for me. I know my 4-day split. I know what weights I'm doing and I don't want to miss a workout.
That's so
it's like sets the week off wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But your weight has never fluctuated, right? From what has it?
Yeah. Well, I've had 2 kids. So
even then you've been like
most of the time I've stayed the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess that's it's like, the reason why
it's because I care about
exactly right. Yeah.
And I think it's really easy to fall in this trap of looking at social media of fitness influencers. That's a big thing now, right? You go on Instagram and all you see is fitness influencers. And there's a reason why they're all under 30. Because your body can do different things in your 20s when you've never had kids.
Yeah.
And your body can do different things when that's your full-time job.
Yep.
Creating a body. And so I think that's a little bit harsh for a lot of women these days. And you have to be really careful not to look at that and live by that.
Absolutely.
I think you can use it for inspiration and do good things for yourself, which is what I try to take from it.
But using that as a benchmark.
Oh, yeah. And compare yourself is a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I 100% agree because, when you're in your 30s and 40s, it changes.
It changes.
I mean, especially when you have kids and so forth.
Yeah.
So that's your routine in terms of keeping it going. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Anything that you eat on a regular basis?
Yeah.
In terms of,
I think all my meals are. It's on repeat.
It's on repeat.
It's always on a regular basis.
I love it.
Like my kids know what I'm making.
Do they?
Yeah. I'm too busy to I don't know, be whipping up some risotto.
Yeah.
I said risotto because I'm not going to make that. It's always a good source of lean protein.
Yep.
It's either going to be chicken, red meat, or fish.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be a variety of vegetables. That's going to change every now and then, and I'm going to cook them differently.
Yep.
And it's going to be some source of carbohydrate.
There you go. And
that's going to change every now and then.
As long as the kids are eating it.
They eat it and they love it.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Tell me about your solo dates.
Oh, I love solo dates.
Because I was going to ask you when you said, you went to the Bali trip and you're going from, place to place with your handbag. Tell me about your solo trips. Oh, solo dates.
Yeah, solo dates is like the best thing ever. And it's basically where I go out by myself and I date myself,
I love
literally.
It. Yeah.
And it's come from obviously being separated.
Mm-hmm.
And I've just not really been the type to, I don't know, be yearning for, I don't know, the attention of someone else.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm quite secure in myself, and the validation I'll get is from myself. So I love going on solo dates. I'll get dressed up as if I'm going on a date with someone.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'll take myself somewhere really nice.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I spend money on myself. I go to nice restaurants. I'll sit down and order something really lovely. I'll spend time generally not on my phone. I like to people watch. I'll take a book. I'll take my journal. So I generally don't have a tiny handbag. I've got a bit of a bag.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I want to explore different restaurants, different bars. I go to different libraries. Go for a walk in different places. Sometimes I just want to go on a really long hike.
Yep.
And I want to listen to a business podcast.
There you go. So it doesn't have to be expensive, right?
No, sometimes it's no money at all.
Yeah, I love that. And I think more people should do it.
That's the feminine energy side of me. It's spending time with myself, being slow, taking my time, putting effort into myself, putting effort into how I look, how I feel, do my makeup nice, do my hair nice, or look after my body. It's very feminine. That's all feminine energy.
Jeez, so I need to do that because I don't do any of that. Like, there's no OP time. It's just go.
And don't you think it makes you feel like, I just need a bit of quiet?
I do, yes.
That's the feminine energy.
Ah.
And, all this creative stuff you do is feminine energy.
Oh, really?
Creativity is feminine.
God, I don't know how I feel about that, but
it's good.
It's a good thing.
It's a good thing. It means you're balanced, right? Yeah. You've got your 9-to-5 job in your career where you work Monday to Friday, and then you do this creative pursuit on the weekend, which is balancing your energy. Oh, and you need both of them. It's a clear example of it.
There you go. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Because I'd often get like calls from mates and stuff and go, "Hey man, have you seen this on Netflix?" I'm like, "Are you kidding me?
I don't watch Netflix.
I don't have time to sit down and watch something.
I know.
It doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But I do listen to a ton of YouTube while I'm driving or whatever, or podcasts. Yeah. But it's a different. It is that you're trying to get in.
Yeah.
Awesome. I think we've covered a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Anything else? Have I missed anything?
I don't know.
Do we want to go back to the childhood again?
Sure.
But actually we've been jumping, but that's okay. It's been okay.
I think it's important to note that, because we come, our culture is Sri Lankan culture, right? I think our parents are from this particular generation where men and women have very different roles.
Yep.
And they've got a certain understanding of what they are.
Yep.
And then don't you think that once we came to this country, we were exposed to something completely different?
Yeah, I agree. And I can't speak for other men, but I hate that the roles are so much defined.
Yeah.
Thank goodness my dad was actually quite good. He got his little butt up and he was helping. He was, whenever
that was my dad.
Yeah.
Yes.
Around the house. So I that was normal to me to cook at home, to do the dishes.
So great.
Just to do those sort of things. But you're right. I have seen in that generation where the guy just sits down and expects a cup of tea.
I know.
And I keep quiet out of respect. But in my mind, I'm going, get up and make your own damn tea.
Yeah. And you're exactly right. And I think like also not even just that, right? Because nowadays men are doing housework, they're doing stuff around the house and they're helping. But something I've noticed that is different is that now women are doing more than women have done before.
Before as well, yes.
And I think it is upsetting the understanding around relationships that had existed before. This, I don't know, notion of what a woman's role is changing, and I don't think people know what to do with that anymore.
Yeah, that's true, right? Because you're right, it's a bit more fluid now. What we're supposed to do is just lean into each other's strengths and just win, right? But you're right, some people are quite happy working the corporate world and, running businesses. Some people want to have children and they want to be stay-at-home mummies and daddies. That's fine as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right, because we've got a chat group set up called Daddy Daycare, and that came about because one of our friends decided to take a long-term sabbatical from work, just look after the kids. And he would give us updates, go, did this, did that. And that's how that sort of kicked off.
Yeah. So I found that interesting.
Yeah.
I think women don't know what to do with the fact that it's different.
Yeah.
And men don't know what to do with the fact that it's different.
What would you do, like if, I don't know if you've been in the dating scene again, but if you were to sort of approach this from a fresh angle, how would you approach the whole dating life again?
Yeah, I'm approaching it differently because I think because I've been there, done that, and I've got my family. Now I would say at this point in my life, I'm approaching it like I'm already a secure, whole individual.
Yep.
I already love my life the way it is. So the difference is I'm not seeking someone to come in and fulfill
Fill
something.
the gaps, yeah.
There's no gap to be filled.
Yep.
Like everything I need, I've got.
Yes.
So if someone wants to come along and join in and make life fun together, great.
Yeah.
It's so different.
It's a different mentality, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. But the thing is, we don't know that when we're growing up.
We don't.
We just don't.
Yeah.
We go with the flow. You make mistakes.
Yeah.
Some go well, some go bad.
Yeah.
It could be with jobs as well, but relationships exactly the same.
And it's also difficult viewing it from this point of view now because there's still a lot of men out there who want to... I'm not saying this in a bad way about men. I'm in no way a feminist. I think this is just biology about how men and women are different. But men want to, provide for a woman. They want to be a source of importance to a woman. And we want that. But sometimes when a woman already has a lot of what she needs, sometimes it makes a man go, what do I offer you?
What do I bring to the table? So that insecurity sets in, yeah?
I don't know what it is, if it's insecurity, but it does make them question it sometimes.
But I think it goes back to what you were saying earlier, where you're sort of quite happy with what you've built and there's no, you're happy with being Trudy, what you've built around you.
Yeah.
If the other person coming into the table has got those, I don't know what else to use, like insecurities, or they're not happy with themselves.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't work, right?
It doesn't. Yeah. And I would see it so quickly.
You would. Because as soon as you have that, I don't know if you've ever seen this skit. I can't remember, it was on news radio or something.
Yeah.
It's like a business transaction that they go, so, how many kids do you want to have? Where do you want to live?
Yes,
yeah, you've seen that?
Yeah.
They go, okay, well, thanks.
Interview.
Yeah, it was like an interview. And it goes for 30 seconds.
Yeah.
We'll try. Thanks. See you next time.
I know.
Okay. But I feel like if I was out in the scene, I'll be doing almost the same thing.
Yeah, really?
In a different way.
Yeah.
Because you just...
We do that though. We have this kind of checklist or set of questions we want to know.
So true. So true.
Yeah, but I think it's more important to find someone who makes you feel safe and comfortable first. And then you could
go
ask
through the
those questions.
Go through the checklist. Yeah. I've got a couple of friends who are in their 30s and mid-30s now.
Yeah.
But they're just still trying to find this perfect person and they're going through the thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know what advice to give them. I'm going,
yeah.
just, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know either because, I'm still single. So.
I have heard the dating apps are horrible. Thoughts?
Yeah, they are.
They are.
They are. I really don't spend much time on that. I can't be bothered. And I think it's better to organically meet someone. I think gone are the days where, we used to organically meet people.
Yeah, it's a shame, right? You go out, I'm not saying necessarily a club, but just out. And you talk to people there.
Exactly.
This is why I keep saying, don't be shy. Like I tell my kids all the time.
Yeah.
Just talk to people.
Yeah.
I saw, we were at Bunnings one time.
Yeah.
And my son saw this guy with a rainbow hair, like he had a mohawk kind of.
Yeah.
And he goes to me, why does he have a mohawk? I'm like, I don't know. Let's ask. Yeah. I'm assuming he likes it, but let's ask him.
Oh, cool.
So I'm thinking, hey, dude, my son wants to know why you've got a mohawk and it's rainbow. And he was like this, middle-aged white dude. And he goes, oh, bro, and he loved it. He loved the chat. He loved it. So the rule with me now is if I'm around, if Tata's around, just talk to people. You're okay.
Yeah.
I'm obviously aware of this stranger danger thing, but just if I'm around, talk. Let's talk to people.
Yeah, it's good, I think.
Where to now for you from a career perspective?
Okay. Yeah. From a career perspective, now that I'm going to finish the MBA in 2 months, I think what I'm going to do with my extra time is just focus on this clinic business.
Okay.
I think it's important to have, how you said the one thing that you focus on the most? I think it's important not to have too many things on the side.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Eventually that just drains your energy that you could be putting into the one thing that's really important to you. That's
so true, right?
Yeah.
I got to work on that. But does this mean expanding to more clinics, hiring more people?
I don't know. Whatever the future should bring. I don't know yet. But I know that already 2 clinics is a lot of work. So when I put more time into this business, I want to make it more efficient, give higher quality services. It doesn't necessarily mean that I want to have more clinics.
Okay.
I put more time into it just to make it better.
Right.
And how that evolves, I don't know.
And it could be other mediums like, online or, stuff like
different
that.
Services,
different services.
Maybe some different products.
Group classes.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah, we run some group sessions on school holidays.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
What's the wait time to sort of get a consultation?
For occupational therapy, it's quite some time.
Yep.
What's
the difference between occupational therapy and some of the other stuff?
Okay. So speech pathology is more around language and communication, and occupational therapy focuses on other things like their sensory processing. They work on things like their fine motor skills, their gross motor skills. They work on their diet. It's more of a physical component if you want to think of it that way.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, that does help.
Yeah.
For adults and, you guys.
Well, we don't,
But do you do that as well?
No, we don't have any adults.
Okay. No.
I'm a speech pathologist,
Yep.
but our clinic has speech pathology, occupational therapy, and psychology.
And psychology
All
as
three,
well.
yeah.
For kids?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Really? What type of psychology?
Yeah.
Do they what?
Okay.
Give me a scenario as to why a child
would see a psychologist.
Correct. I can already think of a couple, but I'll let you explain.
A lot of mental health concerns, anxiety is a common one.
Why is that so?
Yeah, we have a lot of children here who have a trauma background, and it affects their behavior, their thinking, their emotional understanding, their emotional regulation, how they cope.
Yep.
Yeah. Unfortunately, kids go through some really traumatic things that affect their functioning and their capacity for things like school. And so the psychologist works with them one-to-one and is really helpful in that way.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Have those numbers, do you think, the number of people seeing you for psychology appointments increased?
Yeah, a lot. Yeah.
You've noticed the trend?
Yeah. We never used to even offer psychology at our clinic.
There you go. That's why I'm curious.
Yeah. And now there's a waiting list for psychology services. Yeah, our psych is fully booked out.
Wow.
Yeah. And we're about to bring on 2 more psychologists to help with the waiting list.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you say children, what's the age?
0 to 18.
0 to 18. So,
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
Wow. Yeah, I can definitely validate what you're saying because I used to work for WorkSafe Victoria, and their physical injuries were really, predominant, say, decade and a half ago or something like that.
Yeah.
Now they're finding it's more so the mental injuries or the traumas that they are finding that people are sort of seeking, hey, I'm too stressed at work or something's happened, that they're getting help for. So the number of claims that are coming through
is huge.
Yeah. Yeah, there is a gray area because people don't know how to diagnose that.
Yeah.
And in terms of the level of compensation and so forth. Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for all this.
Okay. Thank you. It was a good conversation.
Yeah.
It was good to catch up after so long.
Anything else before we wrap it up? No. Thank you very much. So
thank you.
For those who want to get in touch with Trudy, I'll leave all the show notes below. Check out her channel, which is awesome. I watch it as well, even though I'm a guy.
That's okay. That's totally okay.
Yes. Because it's not really intended for...
It's not only for women.
It's not only for women, exactly.
It's about self-development.
100%. And I get stuff out of it, which is great. But in terms of all the social media links, I'll leave the appropriate links all below, including the clinic as well as the other clinic and everything else.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.